Are you tired of playing boring, repetitive sounding left-hand bass lines when you're playing pop tunes? When you play your left hand, does it sound something like this? Well, if the answer is yes, this lesson is for you, because in this lesson, I'm going to show you what I think is the coolest, most awesome pop left-hand bass technique. And the amazing thing with this technique is that you can use it on just about any pop tune and it will sound amazing. And don't worry about your playing level, because I've got you covered with 3 different bass lines, one for beginner, intermediate, and advanced. All right, the tune that I picked for this lesson is one of my favorite pop country tunes called Prayin' for Daylight by the band Rascal Flatts. And my 6-year-old son has been listening to this song nonstop for the last 3 weeks. So I've actually been arranging it, and I thought this is a great opportunity to demonstrate one of my favorite techniques in this tune. So let's give the tune a listen, and then I'll break down the left-hand bass line.
Praying for daylight, waiting for that morning sun, so I can act like my whole life ain't going wrong. Baby, come back to me, I swear I'll make it right. Don't make me spend another lonely night praying for daylight.
I remember hearing this song for the first time when I was about 13 years old, and I just was blown away by the harmonies and the chorus, and I never thought to arrange it until my 6-year-old started listening to it nonstop. So it's been a lot of fun. What I want to do is I want to break down the melody first, show you the basic chords, and then I'm going to show you how to transform your left hand to make it a lot more interesting. Okay, so we're in the key of G major. The first chord in the chorus is a D chord. It's like a D major. We've got this kind of simple melody. Okay, and then it repeats. Okay, one more time. And then I like to go to an A minor chord here. Now, if you're like most pianists, you might see these chords and think, okay, I'm gonna come up with a bass line, and you might play something like this. Okay? And, you know, this is a good starting point, but it really does not sound very interesting. It sounds very repetitive, it's not very groovy, and so you really need to learn some essential bass line techniques. And that's what I'm going to show you next. But before we do this, if you're enjoying this lesson, please hit the like button. And if you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe for more videos just like this. So what is the key to playing a more interesting bass line? Well, I'm going to show you these bass lines in just a minute, but before I show you the bass line, it's important to understand how I came to create these bass lines, because if you know my process, then you can easily do this yourself. So what is the key here? The key is to understand that every style at the piano has what is called a stock rhythm that drives the tune. And so in the pop style, there are certain rhythms that you're gonna hear the band play and the bass play, and it's gonna drive most of the song. So the key is to lock into that unique rhythm and then let that rhythm drive your left-hand bass line. Now, there are different stock pop bass lines, but one of the most effective ones that works on this song and lots of other songs goes like this. Now, don't worry about the notes that I'm playing. We're gonna make it sound way cooler. What I want you to do is to lock into the fundamental rhythm that I'm playing. So one thing that can be very helpful is to practice clapping this rhythm. And it's very simple. It goes like this. Ta, ta 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 ta. Once you've locked in the rhythm, then it's time to create your bass line. Now, what I don't want you to do is to play the same notes. I do not want you to play da 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 da, right? You can have a lot more fun at the piano. So I'm going to teach you the beginner bass line. If you're more on the intermediate or advanced side, you can skip ahead in the video to learn those techniques. So beginners, I'm going to show you how to take this rhythm and make it sound super cool on this progression. Give it a listen, and then I'll break it down. So what I'm doing is I'm taking that basic rhythm that I taught you earlier, ta, 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 and I'm applying that rhythm to octaves. And so instead of one note, ta, 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 you have two notes that you can use that rhythm on. So in this case, I go 1 E and then up, down, and then I go to the E. 3 E and then up, down. And then same thing on the C. 1 E and then up, down, and then you stay there. 3 E and then up, down. And when you add the right hand chords to it, it sounds amazing. Now I'm coloring my chords a little bit. Instead of playing like D major, I'm doing a D add 4. It's a beautiful way to play a D chord. And then on the E, I'm doing another cool chord called an E minor 11. It's a beautiful way of playing an E minor chord with a little extra color. And then I'm coming down here on my C chord to a C add 2, and then I'm dropping down like this, okay? But what I want you to focus on is the left hand rhythms. Now, here's a really cool thing. You can change the notes on this rhythm. In other words, instead of going bottom, bottom, top, bottom, you could go bottom, top, bottom, bottom. Or you could go bottom, bottom, top, top, okay? Or bottom, top, bottom, top. You have lots of options, and it really doesn't matter what you choose. As long as you lock into that fundamental rhythm, you can change it up and make your left hand sound interesting. Now you might be thinking, Johnny, that sounds cool, but that's a little too basic for me. I want to take my left hand bass line to the next level. And so I'm going to show you the intermediate left hand bass line pop technique. But before we do this, if you want to go deeper into pop accompaniment, we've got you covered over at pianowithjohnny.com, and I want to show you where you can find the learning track to really go deep into pop piano accompaniment. If you come up here to learning tracks, you select your level. We're going to pick beginner. You're going to go down to styles, and you'll see all of our style-based learning track where you can focus on a particular piano style. And you're just going to come down here to pop piano. And in this learning track, we've laid out all of the courses that you need to follow to really master the pop piano style, starting with our pop and contemporary piano accompaniment course, one of my favorite techniques, which I call the pop staccato technique. You're going to learn some of my favorite pop piano accompaniment patterns. These are accompaniments used by artists like Billy Joel and Elton John and Coldplay. This is definitely one of our most popular courses. And then we go into other topics. We talk about the ultimate guide to pop piano accompaniment, 6 essential passing chords. These are chords that you can add when you're playing pop tunes. How to play pop accompaniment at 6 different levels from beginner to pro. Really great material here. Hand coordination when you're playing pop tunes. Lots of really great material here, and we've put it together in the correct order. So you will have no question about what to practice and when to practice it, and it will really help you develop confidence and comfort playing in this style. So I'll put a link to these learning tracks below. All right, if you're a little more on the intermediate side, this is one of my favorite left-hand bass line techniques. You're gonna love this sound. I'll play it for you, and then we'll break it down. So just like we did with the beginner bass line, we are applying the same left hand rhythm, and recall that the rhythm goes like this. Ta, 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 except we're jumping to the chord, and this creates a really nice bigger sound at the piano. If you want like a more robust or a more full sounding left hand, this is a super cool technique. So here's what I'm doing. I am applying that rhythm, ta, 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 to the D chord, and the way I do this is I jump root to chord, okay? So I'm taking that D major chord in second inversion, and I'm just breaking the chord up. So I'm going root to chord, okay? But the cool thing is that I'm applying that fundamental rhythm, ta, 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 to this entire thing. Give it a listen. Ta, 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 ta. Does that make sense? And so if you do this on all of your chords, you get this nice driving rhythm underneath. Check it out on the E chord. Same thing. It's an E minor in second inversion, and I'm applying that rhythm, ta, 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 ta. Make sense? And then I do the same thing on the C chord. Okay, and once again, it's a C on the bottom, second inversion C major chord, and I'm breaking up the chord, bottom, top, middle. Now, here's the cool thing. You can change the notes on this rhythm. For example, I could play it like this. Okay, what I'm doing here is I'm playing the same chord, D, but instead of going to the A first, I go to the D first. And then I go F sharp, A. Does that make sense? So I'm changing the pattern. And then I do it on the E chord. Instead of going to the B, I'm going to go to the E. Okay? Or you could play it totally differently. You could do it like this. See what we're doing here? I'm playing the same rhythm on these chords, but I'm changing the notes. And so this is how you can add some variety to your left-hand bass line without entirely changing your bass line each time, and it will help you to make your bass line sound more interesting. Now I want to briefly mention the right hand. In the right hand, I was playing those same cool chords, D with the add 4, E minor 11, and then the C with the add 2, and then dropping it down. But I was playing a little more interesting rhythm. I was going like this. Okay, and so the rhythm goes like this. 1 E and then comes together. Make sense? And then 3 E and then it comes together. Make sense? Now, you might be hearing this and thinking, cool, Jonny, sounds great, but I want to take it to that high level. And when you were playing at the beginning of the video, you were playing a really cool left-hand accompaniment with Praying for Daylight. What were you doing? Well, guess what? I was playing at the advanced level. So if you want to play at this level, then this section is for you, and I'm going to show you the way I would play my left-hand accompaniment on Praying for Daylight. In fact, I'm arranging this tune right now, and this is exactly how I'm playing my left-hand accompaniment. So if you want to learn it this way, this is definitely more of an advanced approach, but I promise you it's actually easier to play than it sounds. What I want to do is I want to play the left-hand bass line with the melody for Praying for Daylight, and then I'll break it down more simply with some chords. Give it a listen, it sounds amazing. So as you can tell, it's super rhythmic, it's super driving, and it has a really hip sound. And it, again, sounds harder to play than it actually is. If you really slow it down, what I'm doing is quite simple. Okay, so what am I doing here? Well, I want you to start with the rhythm. And remember earlier, I taught you the fundamental rhythm in the style goes like this, ta, 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 ta. I'm gonna tweak it just a little bit to make it a little more groovy. And here's the modification. Give it a listen. Ta, ta, ta. Ta, 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 ta. Okay, and you can do this on pop tunes with bass lines. You can change the underlying rhythm behind the tune, but it's very similar to the original tune. I'm just making it a hair more groovy, okay? So get that rhythm in your hands, ta, 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 and then apply it to your chords, okay? So there's a couple steps to this. First is to learn your chord position and the setup note. And here's how it works. We're going to go from D octaves to a root position, D major chord, and then we're going to set up our next chord, which is E minor, with the fifth of that chord, which is B. Okay, it's a setup note. Okay, so you got to understand these two concepts. You're jumping from D to the chord, and then you have your setup note for the next chord. Once you understand this, then break up the notes of your chord. Okay, and here's the way I do it. I go octaves. I grab the bottom note of the D chord, I repeat the full D chord, and then I do the setup note to the next chord, which is E. That's it. And I'm applying the rhythm that I taught you earlier. 1 E and a, 2 E and a. Makes sense? Once you understand that, you can apply this to all of the chords in this tune. Because on the next chord, it's E minor. So you do the same thing. We'll go E octaves. We're going to go to an E minor chord, bottom note, chord, and then the next chord is a C chord. So the setup note is the fifth of that chord. That's a G, and then we're on the C chord. Let's do the same technique. C octaves. We're going to go to a first inversion C chord, like that, and then we're staying on a C. So we'll go back to the 5 of C and repeat it, up to the chord, repeat it, and then here's one of the coolest transitions. I love to use this technique. It's a very hip way to move the phrasing along, but I'll do like this. Into my next chord, okay? And so what we're doing here is I'm using a chromatic technique to go into my D chord, which is the next chord here, but I'm using fifths. These are parallel fifths coming up, and then I do a setup note into the D chord like that. Does that make sense? So fifths, A, and you could grab the D on the bottom, or you could go D octaves like that, okay? And it is a super cool way of transitioning to the next phrase, okay? So here's the second measure again. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1, okay? Super cool. So here it is nice and slowly, the left hand with the right hand chords. When it comes together, it's really nice. I'll play it slowly. Hey, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the lesson. If you did, please leave a comment. I'd love to know what you thought about it. And be sure to check out pianowithjonny.com. We have the full online learning program to play jazz, blues, improvise at the piano. We have an amazing community, so be sure to check it out, and I'll see you in the next one.